Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. Hello, can everyone hear me? Let me know in the comments if you're able to hear, because I was having some audio issues, and that's why I'm starting a little bit late today. So anyway, welcome back to the Shofar. This is now, I guess what people would call protest season. And what goes on during protest season? Protest. So basically what this means is that as soon as it gets kind of nice outside, and I guess with the global warming, that'll be getting sooner and sooner every year. But basically, as soon as the weather starts to smooth out a little bit, political entities take to the street. So I have been monitoring, observing, and sometimes attending some of these political actions. Now, of course, we understand that most of these aren't based in any real understanding of politics. Most of these are based on herd mentality, people following a mob, people following a trend, not doing any research, not doing their due diligence, but just chanting along with some stuff. And honestly, when you go to these type of events and you see these type of people, you see how the Nazis came to power. You wonder, when you read about it in school and, as a kid, everything, you say, well, what happened? How could this go on? How could people let a frenzied totalitarian takeover occur? Well, because people are stupid and they are conformist and they follow rather than think. And I've seen a lot of that at these recent protests. Again, let me know if you can hear the audio in the comments, please. There is an element of actual hate in there, yes. But for the most part, it's mostly people looking for something to hate. It's not people that have some intrinsic hatred for Jews. They're not just born like, I was born to oppose the Jew. No, they are basically looking for something to hate. And these movements, they guide their hatred. They aim it at something. You're angry, you're frustrated, you can't get a girlfriend, boyfriend, they, them, friend, whatever. You can't do, what you want to do with your job. You can't get forward in life. Whatever the case is, right? You're going to be frustrated type of person for this type of movement to attract you, right? So, and that's kind of dangerous because you're dealing with people who are essentially right on the edge, of either harming themselves, harming somebody else. They're lost in this world. They have no direction. And these things like Palestine movement or BDS, whatever, these stupid beliefs, people fall into it because they're looking for some place to aim their frustrations. It's all about their personal failures. It has very, very little to do with the actual situation. It has very little to do with real dedication to an idea other than uh, social justice, meaning, things are not right in the world, and I want to make them right by forcing people to think my way. Now, I can appreciate the initial influence there that things are not right in the world. Okay, we can all see that there are various problems. People are not getting along. There are wars, violence, hate, racism, abuse, child abuse, human trafficking, terrible things going on in the world. Now, some people's solution to that: blame the Jew. Simple. It's time honored tradition to just simply say, well, okay, who is, as Kendrick Lamar would say, not like us? Who's not like us? All right, well, the Jews. They're doing. There's something different about them. They're kind of insular with their weird rituals and everything, and we don't know about them. So it must be them who's causing all these problems that I don't understand. Forget about going deeper and trying to understand the root problems and root causes and history behind each of all these social issues that you find to be abhorrent. No, find one group to blame. Now, this has been a progression back in Occupy Wall Street days. Okay, let's talk like late '90s, early 2000s. Back in those days, what happened was essentially they started gathering up all these disillusioned people. Now, of course, this has been happening since the 60s, really, but the modern movement of it really kicked off with Occupy Wall Street. Okay, we can go back to Battle of Seattle in '99 for the hardcore Antifa rioter people, but we're talking about something where we're normalizing it for like college kids, right? That is Occupy Wall Street. You had a bunch of people taking off school, taking off work, building encampments. Okay, this was the first time we saw these huge political encampments where people basically turned a protest into some sort of hippie festival, like it was freaking Woodstock. Now, of course, what happened at Occupy Wall Street? Oh, theft, rapes, lots of thefts, lots of assaults, people overdosing, things like that. Because nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd, and nothing attracts scumbags like scumbags. So if you start off your crowd with scumbags, you have a huge scumbag crowd, of course. So you go back in this Occupy Wall Street bullshit, and even then you can find clips of guys talking against Zionism. And the guy, like, I can't find the clip right now because I just thought of it, but the guy was a hippie looking guy, long hair, no shirt, some dirty, earth tone pants. I don't know, green, brown, whatever. I don't remember exactly, but he had no shirt on and he looked like a caveman. All right. And he was saying that he's opposing war and apartheid and Zionism. And they said, well, what is Zionism? He says, well, that's it's something to keep, for the rest of us. And the interviewer said, who's the rest of us? He said, the Goyim. You see a guy, he's a hippie, he doesn't love everybody. He hates something, but he wants to have what they call free love, which means that he can love whoever he feels like. The loophole with free love means something else too. It doesn't mean you have to love humanity, right? It means you love whoever you feel like. You are free to love or to not love, right? So you're also free to hate. So think about that. Free love also means free hate. You can hate who you want to because you've already decided that you don't have to love all of humanity or love all of a certain group. You this is free love. You have whatever your feeling is. And that's part of the problem with humanity nowadays, we go with whatever our feelings are rather than what God says or even basic logic, right? So a lot of what we're dealing with since the Occupy Wall Street has been building. So after Occupy Wall Street, you get into more of these different social justice things. Everything was just something, environmentalism, this and that. But really the enemy of the common people, and these of course are not common people, these are for the most part affluent white people. Okay. Yes, they get a few token brown people in there, some Hispanics, some Arabs, whatever. I mean, Arabs are technically white, but some of them look brown. Okay, whatever. It's primarily a white thing. Okay, the social justice movement. Now, the 1%, that's how they first started getting around it. The 1% was the rich people of the world. 99% of the people are broke and 1% is super rich. First of all, we know that doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. 99% of the world's population are not all in the same economic block. The guy down the street from me is not in the same economic block or in the same tax bracket as me. So this whole idea of the 1% versus the 99% was from its start nonsense, okay? Because 1% of people in the world are not the rich, okay? And they came out with some sort of justification, some bullshit fake math where they says, okay, 1% of the world's wealth, or, you know, most of the world's wealth is in the hands of 1% of the people. Even if that were the case, even if the 1% was a real thing, which is not necessarily even provable, because that's, you only have to go by what reported tax returns. Like, how do you know who has what money in the world? When we're talking about personal wealth, we're not talking about corporations here. We're talking about individuals, okay? Because realistically, most of the world's wealth is in the hands of corporations, which are huge entities that, you know, consist of hundreds, possibly thousands of people. But no, we're talking about personal wealth, okay? So they believe that 1% of the people are super rich and 99% are like the proletariat, which is bullshit, okay? If this was true, there would be no such thing as the poverty line. There would be no poor people because everyone, 99% of people, would be in the same economic status. So there would be, like, I wouldn't be broke and the next guy has money or vice versa. And we know that that's not the fucking case, okay? There is no 99% versus 1% when it comes to wealth, but there is a 99% versus 1% when it comes to something else. What's roughly the percentage of the Jews in the world? 1% of people in the world are Jews. So the 1% is us. It doesn't really matter if you have $1 to your fucking name. You're not like them. So you're in a separate category. You become the 1% because everybody else is in some other category. And that's really what it comes down to. They try to convince you that it was about wealth so that it feels justified. And they'll convince you with the stereotype that Jews have all the money, that Israel is controlling your government, that you're paying taxes just to give Jews stuff. Like we all have a bunch of stuff or something. We don't. Okay, let's break that down to you, that the amount of Jews who are rich is even tinier than the amount of people who are Gentiles that are rich. Okay, when you talk about 1% versus 99%, these huge amounts. Okay, so you're targeting, number one, you're targeting a minority. Obviously, 1% versus 99%. You're targeting a tiny minority, right? even if it did represent rich people. But we know it represents Jews. Okay. Now, the reality of the situation is that when they talk about this, they want the people to feel justified. They don't want to just say Jews, because that sounds bad. That sounds like Hitler stuff, right? So they want to ease it in there. All right. They wanted to say, hey, well, it's not necessarily an ethnic group, it's the Zionists. So now we've gone from the 1% just being the rich people. Now who's in control are the Zionists. Okay, Zionists are controlling what? Zionists can't even organize themselves, but let's put that aside, okay? The reality is what they're talking about, the 1% versus the 99%, not rich versus poor, because these people who are hating on us are not poor. They are rich. They are rich, affluent, college-educated people. We're not receiving a huge amount of Jew hate from average poor people. Okay, you know why? Because average poor people are probably receiving charities from Jews. Because Jews actually help people. And our groups, unlike Muslim groups, actually donate to food pantries for everybody and help everybody, not just our own group. Okay? Now, there are specific services that are just for Jews because they have religious specificities, things that are required for Jews that other people don't need. All right? But when we're talking about charities and food banks and stuff, Jews are huge donors to help poor people in this country. So again, it's not rich versus poor that they're talking about. It's the 1% who are Jews versus the 99% who are not. So Occupy Wall Street starts the rumbling about the Zionists right in there, mixing in with the economic thing, and they try to blend it in with everything. Every time you see a homeless person, it's the 1%. Who's the 1%? Oh yes, the Zionists. You see how they're building, okay? And then it becomes, all right, well, now we're going to attack it because of gay and lesbian issues, or more importantly, gay and transgender issues. So what it becomes then is now, oh, this is why we have Queers for Palestine, because some transgender person was offended by the Bible, and the Bible is Jews. So again, we have people who just hate God and they want to blame the Jew for what they feel God has done to their personal life. Okay, so they hate the Bible, so therefore they hate Zionism, because the Bible is Zionism. So stupidly, they attach themselves to something else that hates them even more than we could ever hate them, which is Islam. They connect themselves with Islamic extremists just because they have a shared hatred of biblical Zionism. Everything in the Bible was against their gay, transgender lifestyle, so now they hate the Jews. They don't want to say that they hate Jews, though, so they say the Zionists. Okay. Now, after October 7th, the wool is pulled fully over their eyes. What do they see? They see horrific videos. Horrific. We're talking about some of the most brutal footage I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen Faces of Death and some really extreme stuff, right? But we're talking about extreme violence and rape and just everything terrible. And what did they say? Either it was fake, it was AI, or the Jews did it to themselves. That is the overwhelming belief among the pro-Palestine side when you talk about, well, what about October 7th? How can you support that? Israel did that. Helicopters killed all those people. Apparently helicopters rape people too. I didn't know this. Helicopters put you in a fucking oven and burn your babies, and which, by the way, did happen. Whether or not it was 40 of them doesn't matter. If there was one, it's fucking evil enough, okay? And they don't care what you say because they are brainwashed. If they believed that Hamas did what they saw on the videos of October 7th, the ones who would even watch any of the videos, if they believed that, it would shatter their fucking whole worldview. So they have to tell themselves that the Israelis did October 7th and that it's all a hoax. And you have even some Jews on the extreme Haredi anti-Zionist stream, anti-Zionist, as opposed to one singular word, which is the boys use, but anti-Zionist Haredi Jews. You even have some of them who are suggesting that and going along with the narrative. Now, of course, there is obviously some amount of complicity from the Israeli government in something like October 7th. Why? Because they let it fucking happen. The security was not good enough. People did not communicate. Political differences in the government stopped one person from communicating with another one. These are all problems, but that does not mean that fucking Israeli soldiers committed the fucking terror attacks. And that's what these people want you to believe. They want you to believe that the Jews did it to themselves. And if you'll believe that, next thing you'll believe that we did the Holocaust to ourselves too, right? We just keep, for some reason, killing ourselves off and making it look like we're the victims because just, I don't know, reasons or feelings that we want to be the victim or some shit. But with these type of escalations and these type of viewpoints being popularized, you see how Hitler came to power. Fools going along with the crowd, and the crowd is being led by monsters. That is what happened then, and this is what's happening now. Do I believe another Holocaust is coming? I believe Jews are a little bit more prepared, and we should be a little bit more prepared now so that we never again, this is JDL, never again see that type of extreme elimination of Jews systematically. Now, however, that doesn't mean that a wave of terror attacks, assaults, and bullshit isn't currently and will be continuing to go forward. Okay? It's happening. You have to be ready. You have to be ready to fight, and you have to show them that you're not fucking around. All right? The fucking Romans did a lot of bad stuff in history, right? To this day, there are still places that are basically colonized by the Catholics, okay? Places that have no connection anymore to their original culture because they came in and were Christianized, right? Yet, we don't see a huge anti-Italian sentiment because of some past deeds by their people, okay? We don't see that. We don't see people thinking that they can go play the knockout game in the Italian neighborhood. We don't see people thinking, oh, well, you know, that shit that, I mean, the Italian government's been doing some bad things, okay? I mean, even in the modern day, they've been, I mean, COVID tyranny for one, but even if you don't agree with that and you think that COVID was like the worst thing in history, okay, whatever. But they still have supported things that these social justice people are against. The government has gone and been investing and supporting things that these people are against, right? But yet, we see them gathering around synagogues and Jewish neighborhoods, not in the Italian neighborhoods. Why not? Because they know Italians will fuck you up. Italians have a fucking stereotype, whatever. Build a new Jewish stereotype. You want to call it a stereotype, whatever. You need to build the fear of the Jew in these people. Let them know that, yeah, we kind of are like the Italians. We will fuck you up. Do not come into our neighborhoods. You will get fucking beat down, shot. Something bad will happen to you if you fuck with Jews. Now, continually, bad things do happen to people who fuck with the Jews, but they don't see it right away, especially not directly from the Jews themselves. Normally it's like, okay, well, they go into jail, or, God curses them and terrible things happen to them. Okay, things like that. Or else you see, like Israel, you fuck around with those Jews, they're bringing war on your neighborhood. Okay, that's a good example. Now, it should have been a more brutal war. It should have been quicker. We should have wiped out the fucking enemy a lot quicker. But the point was, they were still pissed and acted like it was a genocide, even though it was nothing like a genocide. So, put the fear in them. If somebody comes around, give them what for. Don't be like, well, I'm going to debate you. If somebody comes to give you trouble with the Jews, get in their faces. Do not allow this shit where, I just decided to debate with them. All right? Don't put up with it. Don't put up with it. I'm going to play a little video clip from this week. You may have seen on our channel, and please do watch it, the one about the recent BDS protests in Chicago with the Palestine guy doing the Sieg Heil motion. And there is a little bit of that in here. So here's a little bit of the attitude you should show. And my voice was cracking a little bit because my megaphone was dying, so I was actually shouting. So it's a little squeaky here, but still, the point is you have to be aggressive, okay? And that's my point. That's my point.
Stop being Jew haters! Stop spreading blood libel! There's no Palestine! There's no genocide! Lies, 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 lies! There's no fucking Palestine! Look at these people! They all love Nazis! They support David Duke! These pigs! They support Nick Fuentes and David Duke! These are scumbag Nazis! There's no Jewish race except unless you're fucking Hitler! Jews are not a race, you Nazi pigs! Oh yeah? Is that what you're saying? Heil Hitler, you fucking Nazi piece of shit? You're saying Heil Hitler to me? You want to fucking say Heil Hitler to me? Is that what you're saying? Heil Hitler? You want to give me a fucking Hitler symbol? You want to give me a fucking Hitler sign on my face? Jews are not a race, you Nazi pigs! Oh yeah? Is that what you're saying? Heil Hitler, you fucking Nazi piece of shit? You're saying Heil Hitler to me? You want to fucking say Heil Hitler to me? Is that what you're saying? Heil Hitler? You want to give me a fucking Hitler symbol? You want to give me a fucking Hitler sign on my face? Don't give me a fucking Sieg Heil, motherfucker! Keep your fucking signals to yourself! Don't give a fucking Sieg Heil in the streets of Chicago ever again!
Okay. So, don't cry. Don't feel sad. Don't try to debate with somebody. If somebody gives you a fucking Hitler salute, first of all, that is considered a public nuisance in most places. And it in some places it is considered a verbal assault, or could be argued to be that. Don't put up with that. Okay, somebody comes to an event and they want to say free Palestine. They may be confused about what that means. You can give them some information, or you could just say fuck Palestine, etc., whatever. But if somebody comes anywhere near you and says fucking Heil Hitler and does a Nazi salute, that's open season. Really? I mean, what? You can't do that. We're not going to, nobody is going to be shouting Heil Hitler and getting away with it. Not here, not in Marquette Park, not in Skokie, not anywhere. So, yeah. Jews need to get also more politically involved locally. Get involved with your city council, your town council. Make sure that these BDS bullshit, that they're not passing new things at the local level that you're not paying attention to. Everybody pays attention to these big national things. And APAC puts out some type of email or something about some legislation or some this and that. That's only at the federal level. You have to be responsible. Do your due diligence to keep abreast of what is going on locally. Do not let them have a vote on BDS for your city. Then you're going to be living in a BDS city. You have to keep track of this stuff ahead of time. Watch these groups. Watch their Facebook, their Instagram, their website, whatever their Telegram channels. Really, the Telegram channels, if you have a Telegram, usually give a little bit more in-depth information if they have one. But pay attention to these people and see what they're trying to do. Look at your city council and say, is there anything weird coming up this week? Just look through it. If they're not online, then it's pretty backwards where you are, but whatever, go to the city council meeting in person. Do what you have to do. If you have to physically go there, then you physically go there. If you feel like you can accomplish that all on the internet and gather that information that way, then do that. But you have to get involved and bring other people, okay? It's not, like they used to say in the punk world, it's not enough to just scream and shout your frustrations, but you're supposed to educate yourself and others. And that's what you need to do. That's what activism really is. It's educating yourself and others, and to an extent, trying to stop the forward motions of the opponent. And the opponent, in this case, are very sneaky. The opponent, in this case, thinks that they're the moral side. So they're operating as if everyone loves them and they are just perfect, hunky-dory, and that will be their downfall. The fact that they think that they're so popular and normalized now will actually be what destroys their movement, and not just because it's becoming diluted. Now, that is one element, that the extremism of it becomes diluted the more normies get involved in your movement, and people go, well, I don't know, I wouldn't really support that, but I still want to free Palestine. I mean, I don't support Hamas, but so you have those people, and then you have the like, fuck yeah, I support Hamas, I'm Hamas people, those crazy ass people. So there's levels to it, right? But the more popular it gets, the less the crazy people become prominent, okay? Now, it's being watered down in that aspect. But the other thing is that too many of their people are exposing, just like that video I just showed you, the guy doing the Hitler salute. He came out there with his little drum like a Nazi drummer boy, okay, to be a Nazi. He came out there for that purpose. Now, people might say, oh, well, he was really actually trying to call you a Nazi. Well, he didn't say you're a Nazi. He said Heil Hitler. Okay, for one. Secondarily, you can ask former neo-Nazis and experts on hate groups that trying to refer to a Jew as a Nazi or calling them, invoking the Holocaust in any way is itself a form of a hateful attack. Okay, you're specifically trying to pull upon generational trauma to try and trigger the person to say that they are worse than the people who did these terrible things to their family. Okay, so either way, no Nazi shit, not allowed. No, no fucking way, not allowed. Okay, not allowed. And somebody in the chat says that, yeah, he was trying to clap back at me saying that they were Nazis. Well, they're the ones who are out there siding with David Duke, not me. Okay, for him to call me a Nazi is just him projecting. He's just projecting. He himself is the Nazi. Yeah, he's literally out there trying to rile people up with a drum, just like those boys in the Hitler Youth. Okay, except he was no longer a youth. He might have also been a little bitter about that. He was, sometimes when you get to be of a certain age and you're still a fucking loser who's spending your time beating a drum and writing stupid signs about Netanyahu on your back, chances are there's no wife at home for that one. Okay, just saying. Or boyfriend, or whatever his proclivities might be. But you get my point. These are generally bitter, unhappy people, and the ones who pretend like they're happy because they're all on drugs or doing some kind of weird, basically denial. They're doing like a tune-in, drop-out, where they just go, "Oh, I'm it's above me now," and they just let it go. They're a free spirit or whatever, But you see, you see how the Nazis came to power when people are that fucking ignorant. Now, excuse me, after the little incident in the video their little Nazi drummer boy left. Now, I don't know if he was asked to leave by their group, like, okay, bro, you did a Sieg Heil, you gotta get out of here, this is too bad, look. Or if he was just like scared and thought I was gonna beat his ass and left, or some combination thereof. I don't know, but they had no more drums after that, so at least that was something good. By confronting them about that, they got rid of their percussion thing. But you have to confront these people. Somebody has to. All right. And there's a new essay on the blog, on the blog. You should see the address of the blog going along in the ticker there on the Substack. And it says why I stand alone. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that now, but I would appreciate if everyone would read and share, if you can, the blog post. Essentially, I'm trying to let people. I was actually kind of inspired by a lady in Europe who was standing against the Palestine people alone, but she was not Jewish and she was very non-confrontational. And I said, I like the idea of the one woman standing alone. I think it's iconic. It's very powerful statement to say, look, God is on my side. I have no fear of you demons. Okay. But you know me. I have to be a little bit more confrontational. I'm not going to just stand there and read a prayer or silently have a vigil or something, you're going to hear what the fuck I have to say. You're going to hear what I have to say. If you like it or not, whatever, not my concern. You're going to hear what I have to say because what I have to say is important. All right. And it's not my view, it's the biblical view. I don't have a personal opinion about whether, Israel this or that. Okay. I have opinions about these things, but the fact is that the Holy Land is the Holy Land. And I'm not going to say, you know what? Well, maybe the Bible wasn't quite right. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Everybody falls short of being religiously perfect, and not everybody does everything the right way and stuff, but you can't just outright deny the basic truths. There's no easier way to surround yourself with sin and curses than to deny the basic truths of God outright. And that's what anti-Zionism does. It denies the basic biblical truths outright. Okay? You can debate about ways to observe different laws, this and that, but there's a map. There's a map. Okay? It tells you what rivers, what this, I mean, it's in there. Okay? It's not like, some of the Catholics are talking about now, about how, well, when they talk about Israel in the Christian Catholic viewpoint, they don't mean the country now. And so supporting Israel isn't the same thing as believing in the Israel of the Bible. And there's that, I won't say her name, but I'll just say her first name, that Carrie lady who was saying that basically she was misquoting some church leaders, and he had to clap back and say, well, I'm not anti-Zionist. I didn't mean it that way. I was just saying that we're referring to something different, yada, yada, yada. Okay, whatever. How about this, guys? Keep your fucking mouths shut. Have your opinions, whatever, but keep our name out of your mouth. We don't care what your fucking opinion is about whether we have a right to exist or not. Okay, the right to exist is inherent in the state of existing. It's not something that's granted by this society or by a government or by the UN. Okay, right to exist comes from existing. If you are existing, you have a right to exist. Simple as. I don't. People screwing this up in their head, they don't realize what type of precedent they're trying to set, because by saying that you can destroy things that are in existence because you feel that the people don't deserve to have this thing, then think about how that will expand into society. Will this be a successful attitude to spread? I don't think so. I don't fucking think so. You're basically saying we should be able to dispossess anybody of something that I don't view them as worthy of having. So that's a robber baron society. Then you're just saying that, like, okay, well, the Jews, they made a country, we don't like it, we're going to destroy it. What's the difference between that and, oh, this lady just bought some groceries, I don't have groceries, just go rob her? It's the same fucking mentality, okay? These are fucking robbers, thieves, liars. They're the worst scum of the earth, and people are normalizing it because they got a bunch of people to change. But the more and more they bring the spotlight on themselves, the more and more they'll be exposed as the Nazis they are. And thankfully, it will, eat itself. The Palestine movement will eat itself. Just right now, we're at a precipice where it's particularly dangerous. So, having said that, I would like to discuss our CCL program. So, what it is I'm not teaching you how to get a CCL. It's a real class. It's an actual certified with the Illinois State Police, as well as the instructor is also USCCA affiliated. But what it is 16 hours. That's 2 8-hour days. Okay. And you first will have the academic element where you will study, watch videos, take quizzes, learn about the laws, the rules, rights. Okay. Because some people believe they have rights they don't have, and then other people are not aware of rights that they do have. Okay. So you learn about all of that. Then the next stage is learning about the firearm itself. It starts off with pellet guns. You learn to clear, you learn to handle, grip, all that kind of stuff. And you start with a dry fire range, which is essentially a BB gun range. And you will learn and practice there before moving on to a live firearm. You will have to go to a second facility for the live fire range. And at that point, you have to shoot well enough to be approved. I don't remember the exact number, but you have to have a certain score within the target. Okay. And once you pass all of that, you will receive a certificate, which you can then submit online to the state police to apply. You also have to pay the fee to the state police. I can't waive that. But you have to sign up to apply for the CCL card. Now, if you don't already have an FOID, a FOID card, that you should get that first before getting the CCL. You can apply for both at the same time online. Okay. But you do have to be a FOID holder to get CCL. Okay. That's a concealed carry license. All right. So give us an email and let us know if you are interested. We have a deal going that is you basically save $10. Okay. If you bring a friend. So you and your significant other, or you and your friend, whatever, you can go to the class together. You can ride together, whatever, and you receive a discount that way. Otherwise, for an individual, it's $135, which is a pretty good deal, in my opinion, for a 16-hour class of this caliber. It is in the south side of Chicago. If you're afraid of the south side, you might not be ready to handle a firearm. I'm just being honest. If you're the type of person who says, I'm not going to a certain neighborhood because of a certain demographic, you're probably too nervous to safely handle a firearm. And that's my opinion. There's no science evidence for that. But I'm just saying that if you are afraid to come to a certain neighborhood because it's sketchy or something, you probably are a little bit too nervous to be concealing carrying, and you need to work on that a little bit. And you could take the class to help get away from that, to get rid of that fear. You come out to the place, you'll see that, oh, it's not so scary. Oh, it's the south side. It's not like the worst, like bullets are flying everywhere. But realistically, you're talking about wanting to carry a gun around. You want to be the scary guy. Don't be afraid to go to a neighborhood. Make the neighborhood afraid of you. That's the idea. You want to be the scary guy. So if you're scared of other guys, you're not the scary guy. So work on that. Become the scary guy. If you are having issues with that, find it deep in your heart. Search. Find your scary guy. Find your inner thug, and bring that out. Okay, because now's the time. Now's the time to bring out the inner thug. All right, we're through with inner child. We're through with going your feelings and all that shit. And yes, I saw in the comments that they should go to the gym too. Yeah, that's another way to help be the scary guy. Work out. Just look intimidating, And on this one, I do believe that everybody has a little bit of inner thug inside them. I believe it's just about how deeply it's buried, right? Because realistically, some of us have more Neanderthal and some have less, whatever. But it's really down to how many layers of nice guy have you piled on top of that that you have to cut through. Okay. So maybe just slowly remove your layers of nice guy, stack them aside for those who you care about and who you love and your friends and family and your social circle, people at work or whatever, and bring that little inner thug up in the stack. All right. Just, you know how they do Jenga? You pull something out from the bottom and stick it up in the top. Yeah, do like that with your inner thug. Don't have to go, okay, well, you're really getting past my nice guy stage now. All right, I think they've got past that. They killed fucking 1,400 people. They fucking filled the streets with people chanting for the deaths of Jews. They fucking just gave me a Sieg Heil this week. Fuck. We're through. We're past it. We're over it, bro. We're not fucking playing this shit anymore. We're not fucking just gonna be like, oh, well, he has a different opinion about Palestine. No. You're a Nazi. Fuck you. We're going to treat you like a Nazi. We're going to treat you like the racist Nazi piece of shit that you are. I'm not going to fucking act like, oh, well, it's not PC to talk shit to them because some of them are Arabs and people won't understand how. I don't give a fuck. Who's not going to know that Arabs are racist? Black people? In the hood, we know that Arabs are fucking racist, okay? You don't have to worry about black folks thinking that you are a fucking bad guy for calling out Arab racism, all right? These motherfuckers come into our neighborhood and sell a motherfucker a loose cigarette, bro. Fuck those guys and their fucking culture. It's bullshit, all right? The way that they fucking treat black people, call us abid, which means slave. All right. In Gaza, it's al abid. That's where the black people live in Gaza. You think you're being anti-racist by supporting fucking Palestinians? You're not. We need to call out the fact that these fucking people are racist as fuck. They think that Jews are a race, just like Hitler did. Okay. And you know how? I know. Every single time I deal with one of these so-called Palestinian identifying Arabs, and they say, oh, you're a black Jew? That's not a real Jew. Because they believe a Jew is only a certain Ashkenazi race in their mind. Okay? That Ashkenazi is a race, and Jews, even though I'm Ashkenazi, they presume that I'm something else because I'm partially black, right? They're racist as fuck. If somebody tells them that they converted, oh no, you're definitely not Jewish to them. You think that it's hard to get accepted by somebody who's real strict Orthodox when you converted under, conservative or, reform auspices or something? Try dealing with a fucking Muslim. They will 100% tell you you're not Jewish because they believe Jewish is a race. They believe that you do not have an opportunity to become a Jew, which obviously we want more people to become Jews. We don't generally go out and proselytize because they started killing us for that during the Roman era, and it fell out of vogue, you know. But they literally believe that, and they will try to convince you that a convert is not a real Jew, that Jews will never accept a convert because they 100% believe that Jews are 100% of race, you know. And yes, of course, Muslims have no say on who's Jewish or anything like that. But they believe that they have a say on everything. And they will try and tell you, these are real life debates I've heard on the street. I went to a post JVP, and this so-called Palestinian lady was like, they don't even think you're Jewish. You're black. Wouldn't matter what somebody's color is in Judaism, but to her it does, because Jews are a specific race and blacks are a lower race than that in their viewpoint. They believe Arab, white people, Jews, blacks. That's their racial hierarchy. Where do they get this from? It's part of their religion. All right, it is. It says it right in there. Africans, Ethiopians are referred to as raisin heads in the Quran. It says that an Ethiopian, basically Ethiopian is referring to an African in general. But that an Ethiopian or African could never be as holy as a pure Arab. Islam is broken up into pure Arabs and then Arabized cultures. It's very racist. Their viewpoint is very racist. And I'm tired of motherfuckers trying to tell me, because I fucking agree with Rabbi Kahana, that I'm somehow racist. A fucking Arab is not a race. It's an ethno-linguistic group. That's why you see people in Gaza with blonde hair and blue eyes. It's an ethno-linguistic group being an Arab, okay? Being a Jew is an ethno-religious tribal affiliation. You can join a tribe. You can convert to accept all the laws and customs, just like Dances with Wolves or whatever, right? To join a tribe. You can't, however, convert to being black, for example. And you can't convert out of being black. So if you're in the Arab world and you're black, you have a permanent lower status. There's no way that you can go up in the ranks or something. You have a permanent lower status if you're black in Muslim culture, period. Interestingly enough, the paradox of this is that black people seem to be the only ones who know how to behave in Islam. Why is it that black Muslims are not doing terror attacks? Black Muslims are not killing Jews. All right. Are they saying some rude things? Often, yes. They're saying some things. They might be spreading some hate, supposedly. All right. But you cannot name one fucking black Muslim in America, like NOI. You can't name one fucking NOI terror attack. You can't. Nation of Islam has never done a terror attack unless you count killing Malcolm X. But realistically, they haven't. However, the Arabic speaking ones and ones who have been kidnapped and raped by Arabs do that. Meanwhile, Al-Shabaab, Arabized Africans, they do terror attacks. Why? Because they're an Arab proxy. They're a proxy of the fucking Arab Muslim group. All right? NOI, which was founded independently in the United States by some, like Hawaiian or Fiji Islander or something guy. Uh, that for some reason is like the only like normal Islam. NOI is like the only normal Islam. Even though you may disagree with their weird beliefs of religion, just like any other religion, you could disagree with them, but they ain't gonna fucking kill you. For some reason, Arabs reading the same fucking book. They said, oh yeah, that right there, that says kill him. That definitely says to fucking kill him. I don't know. I don't know why this is. I don't know. Are the bean pies considered a form of terrorism? They could be. They're actually pecans, not beans. What's in that pie ain't beans. But they're actually terrible. Yeah, I actually I bought one and ate one time. In Michigan City, Indiana, of all places. I actually did purchase one of the little pecan bean pies from the little Thai man, and it was not good. It was not good. And then I felt like maybe this is like kind of like you know how sometimes you go to like the more mainstream Ashkenazi thing, like there's like a Chabad or something where it's like for the normies or the college people or something, and you go there and the food's terrible. Like I was thinking maybe like this was like that for NOI. I don't know, but whatever. The point is, um, Islam is racist against black people, yet black Americans anyway are the most well-behaved Muslims in the world. It's insane. It's insane. Why are they being racist against the only people who know how to do their fucking religion without killing people? That's wild to me. That's just fucking wild to me. But anyway, let's get back to these the Palestine people. They're trying to insert all the Palestine shit into the Iran war, and people are being confused, like regular average people on the street asking them like, why are you supporting that weren't they killing their citizens and like abusing women and stuff? And everybody's totally confused. When I went to the uh, hands off Iran protest, every single passerby that stopped and asked them what they're protesting about was bewildered that anyone would support the Iranian regime. And they would come over to me and say, I couldn't believe that. I went over there and they said they were supporting that. I'm like, how can they support that, you know? And the thing that's there's a video of that on channel too, as well too. The interesting thing is that the Palestine people are playing themselves, because why are they trying to bring all the USPCN and Palestine people into a thing about no war in Iran? What does one have to do with the other? Oh, well, they'll loosely tie it together because they're all anti-war. They were against the Israeli war, and now they're against this war, and they're anti-war. That's it. But yet, resistance is justified when people are occupied. So they support war in that aspect, right? They're supporting war. Like October 7th was not like a war. They're supporting that, okay? But they're showing their asses because realistically, Palestinianism dies if the Iran regime completely falls. Every Palestinian institution is propped up by the IRGC and the mullahs. Okay, so as soon as we started going after Iran, oh, panic in the Palestine world, panic, because they know that there is no local indigenous movement to fucking destroy Israel. This is something funded by Iran. Why is it funded by Iran? Because they've always been on the same side. Back when the Soviet Union was the Soviet Union, Iran and China were in the same block. And now we act like, well, Russia, they became part of the free world. They still are part of the same block with Iran and China as they were when they were communists. So what the fuck? What's the difference? Wow, they go to Orthodox Christian church now. And then that's another issue. While we're talking about geopolitics and around the world, let's talk about the Russia issue. Russia is on the same side. They're using Iranian drones to fight Ukraine, right? And you have people that were confused going, I was calling Republicans Russian bots and Russian agents for the last 10 years, but now I'm on the same side with Russia because Palestine and they just they don't understand. Okay, but realistically, Russia is going to soon realize that they made a wrong choice. When they came out of fucking communism at the end of the USSR, they should have made a completely different shift with their global alliances. They stayed allied with people they already had relationships with under communism, meaning there are still people in the Russian government who feel the same way as they did during communism, which is communistically. So we're not fighting the USSR. We're fighting remnants of the USSR. And all of this is just a proxy war between the West and Russia. And Israel gets thrown under the bus. It really, that's what happens here. Yasser Arafat became Yasser Arafat, Abu Ammar, through being trained, funded, and basically made by the USSR. If the USSR is keeping their same alliances that they had from when they were communists, what's to make you think that somehow they're doing something different now? They just literally have a different economic system. What you have added, however, is freedom of religion in Russia, which this has added an even weirder element to it, because the Caucasians are largely Muslims. Okay, so you're talking about Chechens and all these people. These are huge Muslim groups in Russia now. Okay, and they have their own battalions and everything. And then the Eastern Orthodox, who are viewing the Ukraine as a Catholic state, because Zelensky was ethnically descended from a Jew, supposedly, or whatever, but religiously he's a Catholic. He goes to Catholic church, right? So somehow the Jews in Israel have ended up on the same side with the Catholics, while people like Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens are trying to represent Catholicism at the, troll level, and the Carrie lady and everybody, that's involved in that Groiper vibe, they're all trying to go against Israel and the Jews. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church has to be on the same side because it's opposition against Eastern Orthodox and Muslim. So we're dealing with a lot going on here, and it can, for simple people, get somewhat confusing, I presume. But all you have to remember is that the Torah tells us what to do, what's going to happen, how to handle it. So let's do that, okay? And on that, I'll say that you should watch Rabbi Shifrin on this channel. He has the Devar Torahs that he does semi-weekly, and he's a good speaker and he makes some good points, and I really think that you should listen to him. He is our JDL rabbi, and he is part of the leadership of this group, and if you're watching this, you should also be watching his videos. All right. And also remember, when you get a chance outside of looking just at his JDL work, look into Rabbi Shifrin. Look at his work, speeches in England, his work in Israel. There actually is a blog post at the Substack, recent one, specifically about Rabbi Shifrin. So read that about Rabbi Nachum Shifrin, okay? I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, but just, I guess the general theme is that, you know, again, never again. Do not let these motherfuckers do Sieg Heils in our faces. Do not let them tell these blood libel lies without being countered. Okay? If you don't have anybody to go with you, wear some protective gear, some knee pads, some elbow pads, a helmet if you need. If you feel that you're, you know, afraid that you're going to get a fight or something, but go out there, oppose them without being a fool. Don't go and scream a bunch of crap about Arabs. Don't go there and scream a bunch of crap about trying to argue about Islam. Go there and make the point that what they're saying is blood libel. Call it out as what it is. We're not debating them, okay? Do not go and try, well, you're wrong because no, it's blood libel. They're liars. That's the message we need to put out there. Blood libel from liars. They're telling lies. Do not get into, well, because this and that and you know, there's nuance. There's no nuance. It doesn't matter if there is. It's blood libel. They're saying we're doing a genocide. They're trying to psychologically torture Jews by comparing us to Nazis. Don't stand for it. They're liars. It's blood libel. That's why I was yelling, blood libel, lies, lies. Because when people are walking past, they're going to hear, oh, blah, blah, blah. So how many kids did you kill today? Israel's doing genocide. And you just tell people don't have time to hear your argument and well, it's technically not a genocide. It's just a war. Fuck all that. Lies. These people over there, they're lying. We don't have to get into what the details of which part of it's a lie and all that. People don't have time for that. They're walking past, they're driving past, sometimes even faster. If you're going to bother to go out on the street with anything, keep your messaging simple, and to the point. They're liars. Okay? They have lied, they will lie, and all they do is lie. They have yet to tell the truth. So let's stop acting like there's anything else to be said besides blood libel. These are liars, and they're spreading blood libel lies. All right? That's all you have to say. That's all you have to say. Because they don't deserve any more than that, and people are not going to pay attention like that. They're just not. And that's why I tell my people, like, don't put so many words on a sticker, because people's attention span is short as fuck. They will just glance past and not know what, you know? So they don't have time to read a bunch of words, bold letters, simple things. I mean, if you hand out a flyer for an event that's got a bunch of details, whatever, not too many words. But if we're putting up a sticker for a political message, boom. Like, what did I hold up the thing? Jewish Defense League. Chicago, Illinois. So you knew who I was when I was there. I'm from the Jewish Defense League from Chicago, Illinois. I didn't have a thing about blah, 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 blah. Read this fucking 30 lines. No, Jewish, it says it right there. Jewish Defense League. I'm from a group who defends the Jews. That's what I'm here for. Simple as. Let's not make it too complicated. Good night, folks. Okay, have a good night and Shavua Tov.